Joining me on the news to further unpack this is Kenneth Ikenwa, a business and social policy analyst. It's nice to have you, Ikenwa, talk to us as regards this on the news.
Thanks for having me on. Good
Well, you would
afternoon.
agree with me that 2023 was a very tough year for Nigeria in terms of its policies and the economic issues that it suffered or experienced. Now, for an administration that is Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming into power to inherit all these issues and the policies that it brought on board, how would you assess the monetary policies and the fiscal policies that it was that he actually brought on board to deal with the numerous economic challenges that he inherited?
All right. Once again, thank you for having me on. I would go straight to the point, and I will try to be as unbiased as possible. To be fair to this government, it will be practically impossible to actually judge the level of success at the level of managerial efficiency and operational excellence of this government at this point in time, particularly for two reasons. One, the government is right now suffering from, or came into government through a transition hangover. And by that, I mean that the government came actually and made a budget that was prepared by another administration, even within the same confines of the same party. And it made a couple of policies that we would say were not too good, which engendered recessions and depressions in the economy. And so for us to now evaluate the success and how well this government has fared, having seen what it did inherit, which was a very bad posture of government and governance and administration, we can't particularly say that, okay, the government has done well. So the government is not doing bad. But on the other hand, let us fast track and take a look back at the day that the transition actually took place. I think this present administration did commit a major blunder by going too fast, too soon to announce the removal of subsidy. And rather than, I actually do not believe that, I actually do believe that subsidy and the subsidy regime is a scam and a fraud on the Nigerian people and Nigerian economy. But I feel that they could have approached the issue with another strategic management concept, which we refer to as logical incrementalism, and that will have had a better impact on the Nigerian people and not as terrible as the impact it is having right now. So I think the transition hangover and the sudden removal of subsidy has kept the economy in a perpetual bad shape. And we can only hope that by 2023, when the government will have a level playing ground to initiate and implement its own policies, perhaps we may hope that there will be a turnaround.
Now, you have just let us realize that the governor, or the president rather, was in a haste to announce the removal of the subsidy on petrol. Now, how do you think the president should have gone about it? Because there is a term that you use right now. I'd like you to further expatiate on that. What are the necessary things that his administration should have put on ground? What are the measures or the mechanisms that should have been in place before announcing such a policy, a statement coming from him? And of course, looking at the inflationary pressure that we have in the country and the fact that the CBN, the MPC, is raising interest rates, what are the things that you thought, or you think rather, that his administration should have done before the implementation of these policies?
Fantastic question. I did mention that when governments go into transition in this country because of the time frame at which they come in, which is at the middle of the year, what they would suffer for the next 7 months will be a transition hangover. Nigeria is a beautiful country with a lot of intelligent people, albeit we are moving pathetically to some 70% of Nigerians living in multidimensional poverty. And that is singularly because we're a model product economy. So much in our economic activities depend on the ability of people to move about and not necessarily on innovation. And this is tied around, subsidies and a singular product, petrol and perhaps diesel. Now, what else should given the learning curve experience that we're actually, having to deal with right now, which is very painful for the Nigerian people, including myself. I don't know when last you went out there to buy onions and to buy petrol and see the way people are suffering. People will have to trek. What the government should have done to reduce this pathetic experience we're having as a people right now is to apply what I did say in my first submission, which is known as logical incrementalism. What does that mean? There was absolutely the need to remove subsidy. It was a fraud on the Nigerian people. It was a conspiracy to continue to perpetuate the poverty of the Nigerian people. But what the government should have done, rather than put us in this dark quagmire we found ourselves, is to at least allow the subsidy to run for the next 6 months, remove it gradually, incrementally, but most importantly, reinvest the monies, whether you are borrowing the monies or whether you have to increase taxation, reinvest monies into building the refineries and also deregulating the downstream sector and the midstream sector so that more people and more players can come into that sector in the oil and gas industry. We have more refineries, we have more modular refineries, we create competition, we reduce the powers of the major regulator, and we decentralize the oil and gas system and the oil and gas sector, and the prices will come cheaper. When that will have been achieved over a given period of about 6 months, we would have at least been able to remove subsidies for about 50%, and then in 2024 we will have gone wholesale. But to have come on the first day, which was courageous, which was audacious, which was bold, but not factoring the effect on the Nigerian people, I think it was a major strategic blunder. And I think that, well, in 2024 we should just be positive and have a positive outlook towards hoping that the errors could be corrected and Nigerians will benefit more from the 23 to 30 trillion naira budget that is coming on board.
Kenneth Kenwa, thank you so much for your contribution.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.